Hi everyone. Today's video is prenatal, and you could do this video even if you're not pregnant. This is going to be a flow. It's going to be on the easier side, although I will gear it towards pregnant persons. You could certainly enjoy it regardless of whether or not you're going to have a baby. So let's go ahead and begin by finding a comfortable seat on the mat. And when I sit up in this room, I'm fortunate in that I've got a wall right behind me, so I could always sit with my back against the wall. When I teach this in a regular classroom, I use props so that pregnant people can safely lay down more onto their back, but that's not really recommended for pregnancy. So, long way of saying, if it's uncomfortable to sit upright, go ahead and put yourself against a wall. And let's find our comfortable seat, whatever that looks like. Think of that spine being nice and tall, whether you're sitting against the wall or sitting in the middle of a room. And maybe letting your eyes softly close. Perhaps beginning to breathe in and out through the nose. And this week I'm focusing on peace. So just noticing what brings you peace. That could be spending time outside. Maybe there are people in your life that help you to feel peaceful. Just take a moment and notice this particular person, situation, or setting brings you peace. We'll keep that in our mind during the course of the class. Let's take a few minutes just breathing together. And again, touching base with what gives us peace. As you're ready, let's open our eyes, bring the soles of the feet together, knees out to the sides. So what I'm looking for here is a stretch in the inner thighs, and ways we can adjust that stretch. Pushing my feet farther away will decrease the intensity. Bringing my heels closer to my body will increase intensity. And as a little reminder, increasing intensity doesn't mean it's better, it just means it's more intense. It depends on my day. There's days where it feels good to have that really strong stretch, and there's days where it feels better to keep the feet a little farther away. Let's take a nice deep inhale. Just check in if you would like to come forward. Let your heart lead. Hands can come to the feet. And depending on how pregnant you are, coming forward may or may not be accessible. So the farther you get into the pregnancy, of course, the more space is being taken up, and it might feel better just to keep that spine upright, especially if you're in that last trimester. Let's take a few breaths here. And then as you're ready, let's go ahead and bring ourselves onto our hands and knees. My knees are underneath my hips. Let me tuck in this baggy shirt so you can see what I'm doing here. And then perhaps I'm working to have my shoulder, elbow, wrist into one line. Finding our cat-cows, and think of letting your tailbone initiate the movement. So as I inhale, belly drops, back of the head and the tailbone go high. And as I exhale, tuck chin, tuck tailbone, round my back to the sky. Inhale, drop. Exhale, round. Inhale, think of an old cow with a saggy back. And exhale, think of a Halloween cat. A couple times like this. Know that you could move at a different pace. You don't have to move at the same pace I am. Let's make this our last one. And as you come back to a neutral spine, extend your right leg back. I'm going to tuck my toes and I'll roll to the inner blade of my foot and then over my toes to the outer blade. When I do that, that hip likes to drop down. So yours might want to do that too. And just go back and forth. This is a gentle hip opener. Last time to the outer blade. Then when I come back onto my toes, I'm going to keep my toes tucked, pushing back so I can stretch into the calf. Now, if your wrists get tired being up like this, you can do all of these shapes from your forearms. Take a moment, breathe here. And then as you're ready, come back to hands and knees or forearms and knees. And let's draw our left hip and shoulder towards each other, and then the right, side to side. Second side, we're going to extend the left leg back. I'm going to start by tucking my toes and then rolling to the inner blade and maybe rolling and dropping that hip as I go to the outer blade of the foot. Back and forth. Our hips get tight when we sit. If you've ever taken a class with me, you've probably heard me say that, but it's so true. So we just need to move. We just need to move our hips a little bit. Last time to the inside and the outside. And again, tuck the toes, push back. Remember the option of coming onto the forearms. This actually feels good to me. My wrists tend to get a little cranky. And then as I'm ready, I'm going to come back. This time we will come to hands and knees. Once again, extending the right leg. Think of being strong through this leg. So I'm going to flex that foot. And I'm going to resist the urge to lift that hip. I'm trying to keep both hips equal distance to the mat. And my left arm can extend thumb to the sky. Breathing here. Left hand down, right knee down, left leg extends, keep that leg strong, hips level, and Let your right arm come forward. So this is working your core. It's a safe way to work the core when you're pregnant. And then right hand down, left knee down. Come to standing on the knees. I'm turning to face you just so you can see what I'm doing. You don't have to move. And let's go ahead and just rotate through the hips. So rotations are one of the ways I think it's a nice way to spend some time when you're in labor. You could always put your hands onto a chair. Go ahead and reverse and find some gentle rotations. I literally think of it as creating that space in the pelvis so the baby can find their way down and then come back up to standing on the knees. So when I move my pelvis around like that, that would give a lot of different opportunities for the baby to find their way. Obviously they're coming out with their head first, but sometimes their heads can be a little off kilter, so moving around can help them to find how they're gonna fit. Something to try, and it feels good. Let's bring hands to the hips, and we're gonna extend that right leg out to the side. I'm gonna plant my foot. My hand will rest on my thigh, definitely not on the knee, it's on the thigh. Left arm next to the ear, and I'm gonna open up the left side. Side bends give you a little more space to breathe. And then as you're ready, come back to center, left hand to left thigh, right arm near the ear, open the right side. And come back to center, hands to the hips. We're gonna switch this out, so I'll bring that right leg in. Make sure I feel stable, and then I'll extend my left leg out. Foot is planted. Again, hand is going to be on the thigh, not the knee. Right arm next to the ear. Open the right side. And then reverse. Right hand to right thigh. Left arm next to the ear. Open up. And coming back to center, hands to the hips. Once again, I'm going to bring that knee in. This time I'm going to step my right foot forward and off to the side. So my right leg is pointing out at a 45-degree angle. My left knee is still on the floor. Right foot is real strong. Left shin is real strong. Let's bring our hands to the heart, taking a nice deep breath here. We're letting our chin lead. I always talk about letting your heart lead, but right now we're going to let our chin lead. So as I take an inhale, I'm going to turn my chin to the left. Breathe in here. Remember, we're strong through that right foot and the left shin. So it starts to feel like, oh, I'm going to tip over. Notice where you're connected with the floor. And then bring yourself back to center. If you'd like, think of bringing those arms up just like you would if you were in a tree shape. We're just working on some hips here, holding this for a minute so we can get those hips nice and open. And then hands to the heart. I'm going to bring this right knee back to the mat. So if it's not comfortable to do that from here, I could always bring my hands down and bring the knee down. And then I'm back on my knees. Left foot's gonna plant. This leg is at a 45-degree angle. Hands to the heart. Nice inhale. As I exhale, my chin's going to lead. I'm gonna look over to the right. And again, strong left foot, strong right shin. Often when I put myself into these asymmetrical shapes, I can feel my body moving, just trying to find the balance. So I have to think consciously of pressing down through what is touching the floor. And as I come back to center, this time maybe we can be, I live in the desert, so I think saguaro cactus. When I do this, my shoulder blades are coming together. You could also think goalpost. Take a moment and breathe here. Hands to the heart. Let's go ahead and bring the hands down to the mat. We're going to come back onto our hands and knees. Taking my right hand, I'm going to explore bringing the fingers out to the side. If that's pretty accessible, I could bring the fingers so they're pointing towards my knee. What I'm looking for is a stretch in this forearm. And if you're not getting that stretch, you could always sit back hips to heels. That will give you a little more stretch. For me, it feels pretty good today just to work here. And then as you're ready, let's go ahead and turn that hand back. Second side, left fingers out to the side. If that's accessible, maybe left fingers pointing to the knee. And again, maybe you sit back. This is my tighter side. I don't need to sit back at all. This is quite the stretch right here. Take a moment and breathe. And then turn those fingers back around. Let's go ahead and sit back. I'm shifting myself around just so you can see what I just did. If this is not agreeable with your body, just come back to sitting with your legs crossed. Wherever you are, think of that spine being nice and tall. And let's do chin to chest, ear to shoulder, head drops back, opposite shoulder. Slow and easy, finding some rotation here. And as your chin comes to your chest, go the opposite direction. Next time chin comes to the chest, go ahead and lift that chin back up. Coming back onto our hands and knees. And this time, let's see if we can turn either both hands to face the knees or out to the side and finding those cat-cows. So exhale, I'm going to lift my back. Inhale, I'm going to drop my belly. Different range of motion for me, for sure, when I do it this way. Big stretch in the arms. And then as we're ready, turning one hand and then the other back around. And again, just sitting back, hips to heels, shake it off. Just like you had water on your fingers, but no towels. Let that go. Done with that. Let's go ahead and tuck the toes. So I'm starting on my hands and knees. And as I tuck the toes, I'm walking my hands back until my knees lift. And let those knees go wide. So I've got my hands in front, my knees are wide. And this always makes me feel like a little frog. And if I feel that I want to play with my balance, I could bring one or both hands to my heart. If it's better to keep the hands on the mat, please do that. If you're using balance, look at one point that doesn't move. And then as you're ready, hands down, straighten those legs. We're all going to meet in a forward fold. I'll turn to face you. So depending on how pregnant you are, keep those feet as far apart as you need to for comfort.
I could bend my knees and rest my elbows above the knees. Maybe my hands want to come down to the floor. They don't have to. Wherever you are, take a moment, gently shake your head no. And gently nod your head yes. Yes to peace. Let that head stop moving. Take another breath or two here. A gentle bend in the knees, hands on the hips. Go ahead and roll yourself up. And let's bring those arms overhead. I'm going to take my left hand to my right wrist and open up my right side once again. Remember, side bends give us more space to breathe. And when you're pregnant, every day your baby is taking up a little more of your space. So it's good to stretch. Inhale, center, reverse the clasp of the hands, opposite side. And then as you're ready, come back to center, hands to prayer, prayer to the heart. Wherever you are, go ahead and place your hands on your low back. My feet are going to be at least hip distance. As a reminder, hip distance are my bones, not my flesh. So at least hip distance. I'm going to begin by pressing my hips forward, lifting my heart, just finding a very gentle back bend. And as I'm ready, coming back to center, let's go ahead and start with hands at the heart. Again, feet being hip distance here. First, I'm going to bend my right knee and turn my gaze to the left. As I inhale, everything center, bend left, turn gaze to the right. Back to center, once more like that. Bend right, look left, and center on the inhale. Bend left, look right, and center on the inhale. All right, inhale up. We're going to do the same thing with the legs. As I bend my right knee and look to the left, I'm also going to drop my right arm forward and my left arm back. And then arms drop down. And this time I will bend my left, look right, arms come back to extension. And then as I come to center, arms overhead. All right, let's see if we can do it one more time. So bend right, look left, arms out. Drop arms, come center. Bend left, look right, arms out. Bring those arms up. Just for fun, let's see if we can reverse it. So starting from arms up, bend right, look left, arms out. Legs straight, everything center. And then I'm going to bend left, arms up, look right. Bring everything up. Hands to prayer, prayer to the heart. Shake that off, let that go. We're going to find the tree shape. I'll start by grounding through my left foot, lifting my right heel, right knee out to the side. So maybe I'm keeping my toes on the ground. This might be where I should work today. Maybe I'm going to bring that foot to the inside of my standing leg. Can work here. I'm going to look at one point that doesn't move. And maybe I'll bring my arms to the sky. If your foot touches down, don't worry about it. And then hands to heart, foot comes down, shake it off. I just want to call out, my foot came down and the planet kept right on spinning, right? Doesn't matter. If we fall out of it, we fall out of it. It's okay. Second side, hands to heart, ground through that right foot, lift your left heel, left knee out to the side. Check in. Do I want to work here? Do I want to lift that foot? Do I want to work here? Do I want to bring my arms back into saguaro cactus? Wherever I am, I'm going to make sure I'm breathing. Start to hold your breath. That's one of the body's ways of saying, hey, let's do something a little different. And then as you're ready, hands to heart, let that foot come down, shake it off, let it go. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of standing flow. So finding your way to the back of your mat if you're not already there. We'll have hands on the hips. Let's go ahead and step our right foot forward. Bring that left foot out at an angle. Both hips are going to be going to the front of the mat. Front knee bends, arms up, and this is warrior one. As I'm ready, inhaling that front leg to straight, and then bringing the hands through the heart. They could come to rest on the thigh or anywhere on that extended leg. Breathing here. Gentle bend into that knee. Hands will come down to the mat. Lift that left heel, and then we're going to drop that left knee down, and we're in a lunge. So for me, lunge, if I'm having a day where lunge is pretty intense, both hands on the thigh is my most accessible variation. If I want to explore some other shapes, maybe I come onto the outer blade of that front foot. I could also walk the front foot a little farther forward. If you have your hands on the mat for balance, use your core and your legs. I could lift my hands and still be in this shape. I don't want to put a lot of pressure into my wrists. We'll take a few breaths here. So when you get to labor, you do want to have hips that are used to being able to relax and be open. Because we want to let that baby come out as easily as possible. So use your breathing here. Maybe you're inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Think of doing that slowly. And just another breath or two here. To come out of this, both hands definitely on the mat. I could heel toe, or maybe just slide that leg back. And when I'm back on my hands and knees, before we do the second side, let's go ahead and take our right hand under our nose. We'll extend that left leg back. Maybe my left hand is going to come up to the sky. This is a version of Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. If I'd like, I can tuck my toes and lift that left leg. Left foot down, left knee down, left hand down. Let's go ahead and find that second side. So I'm going to walk my hands back and once again, find that little froggy shape. And if I would like, I could bring one or both hands to the heart. As I'm ready, hands to the mat, press into the legs. I'm going to switch sides just because I know what sequence is coming. And I don't want to turn my back. So perhaps from here, I'm going to clasp opposite hand, opposite elbow, And give myself some gentle swing side to side. As I come back to center, hands on the hips, I'm going to roll myself up. And this time I'll step my left foot forward, plant that right foot out at an angle, hips are square to the front, arms are going to reach for the sky, warrior one. See if you can keep everything the same, just straighten that leg, and then let hands come to prayer. Prayer comes through the heart. I could bring hands to my thigh or my shin. Let the head and neck relax. In a forward fold, that's really the only important thing, is to relax your head and neck. Gentle bend into that left knee, hands down, lift your right heel, and then lower your right knee. And you're in a lunge, second side. So again, perhaps having my hands on my thigh is going to be the magic. Perhaps I want to roll to the outer blade of that front foot. I could also extend my foot forward and let it look and feel different side to side. So I think my lunge always looks different one side to the other. There's always one side that I want to do just what I'm doing, where I just let my forearms rest on my thigh. This is because my front heel and my back knee are farther apart. It's giving the front of this extended thigh a stretch that feels agreeable to me. So I'm just going to work here. And of course, if I decide I need to change it, I can always come to a different shape. Or a different variation of the shape. Again, if you find this challenging to be in a lunge for a period of time, use your breath. So notice how when we increase our exhale, it's actually a calming mechanism. Take another breath or two here. And as you're ready to come out, hands down if they're not already there. And again, I could heel toe and I can slide that foot back. Once I'm back on hands and knees, big toes touch. Knees are going as wide as the mat. I'm folding forward into a child's pose. So I like to bring my arms forward. You could always make a couple of soft fists and let your head come down that way. Taking some breaths here. This is meant to be a relaxation shape. So if it is not relaxing, find your way back to comfortable sitting, maybe again with your back against the wall. And again, touching base with what it is that brings you peace. bringing those hands so that you can press yourself back up to a comfortable sitting shape. Let's go ahead and drop this right hip to the mat. And take just a moment, extending the legs forward, a little bit wider than hip distance. I can use my hands here near my hips to support myself or on my thighs. I'm going to rotate those ankles. Go the opposite direction. If your ankles are like mine, they're going to make lots of pops and cracks. And just shake it out. Let's take our right leg and bend it as though we were going to sit cross-legged. Left knee is going to come to the sole of that right foot. I'll take my right hand on the floor, left hand on my left hip, and this very gently lift and lower. So again, if you've done a prenatal class with me, you've probably done this shape up. And forgive my dog, he's probably looking at a cat. Come here, boy. Come here. Come on. And as you're ready, let that hip come down. Flip those legs around. So now I've got my left leg in front, right knee to the sole of that foot, left hand on the hip, right hand on the right hip, and lift and lower. Come here, boy. Come here, Marley. So sorry. The joys of doing yoga videos at home, right? I'll have to get him and put him in the bedroom. And letting that hip come back down. Let's go ahead and take a moment, just bring those legs crossed in front of you. Think of sitting up nice and tall. Maybe those eyes are softly closed. Touching base, noticing what brings you peace. Even if you have a dog that's barking or another child that needs your attention, just once again committing to that peace, the feeling that brings you peace. And then as we're ready, let's go ahead and come back to our hands and knees. And once again, we're going to find our way to standing. So I'm going to walk myself back, and as my knees lift, I'll just let my head dangle, hands to the hips, and roll yourself up. This time we're coming into a warrior two, so that's a slightly bigger step forward. I'm going to bring my right foot forward, and this time I have my front heel lined up with my back arch, bending into that front knee, arms out like wings, chest is open, warrior two. Gaze is over the right fingers. Let's bring that right palm to the sky, left palm to left thigh. Maybe right hand comes up. And then again, everything the same, just straighten into that front knee, reverse triangle. As we release both arms, I'm going to tilt this left hip back. Right hand can come down, triangle shape. This hand can be anywhere on the leg. Now imagine I could grab that right or left wrist and you're back to standing. And we can repeat that. So we'll bring hands to the hips and I'm just going to turn my feet. Now my left toes are pointing forward. My right heel is turning back. Bend into the left knee. Arms out like wings. Gaze over those left fingers. Warrior two. And
Let's bring that left palm to the sky, right palm to right thigh. Peaceful warrior. Everything the same, just straighten that front leg, reverse triangle. And I'll release both arms to the sides, tilt that right hip back. Left hand can come anywhere on that leg. If you're using the arm more as pressure, not on the knees, so either on the thigh or the shin. Right arm reaches for the sky, triangle shape. And again, imagine I could grab that top wrist and you're back to standing. Hands on the hips. Let's go ahead and bring the toes out and the heels in. And I brought my feet just a little closer together. Hands to the heart. We'll bend into the knees. This is goddess. If you'd like, again, maybe arms go up. Breathe here. This takes a bit of strength. Challenge yourself by sinking deeper. And then see if you can keep the knees bent. Bring the hands back to the hips and just do a little side to side. So I like this one too for moving your pelvis around in labor. Again, sometimes you just need to move a little bit and find that little perfect optimal way for that baby to come out. And as I'm ready, straightening into the legs, right from here, turn the heels out. So now I've got my toes in, my heels out. I'm gonna let my heart lead and I'm folding forward. Perhaps my hands come to the floor. Maybe I bend the knees and rest my elbows. It's a forward fold, so really the only important thing is that we relax the head and neck. And again, we touch base. What is it that brings me peace? Gentle bend in both knees, hands on the hips, roll yourself up. Can heel toe or step your feet any way you can get those feet to hip distance. Let's inhale up. Bring those hands to prayer, prayer to the heart. Push away. Swim the hands behind. They're actually going to clasp together. Think of lifting the heart. And then come back to neutral. Let's do that a couple more times. So we're going to inhale up. Exhale down, inhale, press, exhale around, hands clasp, inhale, lift, and come back to center. Just one more. Inhale up, exhale down, inhale, press, exhale around, inhale, lift, and exhale back to center. One more up, and this time swan dive down, and as you come down, bend your knees, but you can once again drop your hip down and extend your left leg. Sole of the right foot is going to come to the inside of that left leg. From here, let's inhale and grow tall. Exhale, turn. If you want to come forward, think of your heart going towards the knee. Hands are going to come to either side of the leg. This is a version of Janu Shirsasana, forehead to knee pose. Just taking a few breaths here. So this shape for me is a stretch up the back of the extended leg and also on my lower back, the side where my leg is bent. And I call that out just so folks may know if you're feeling a stretch there, and maybe you're feeling a stretch someplace completely different. I'm trying to target that lower back, that flank. I feel like that's an area that always needs a little bit of a stretch. And as you're ready, bring yourself back up. Let's bend that left knee, place it in front of the right. I'm going to take my right hand to my left knee, my left hand near my left hip. Inhale, grow tall, and exhale, letting my heart lead. So when I let my heart lead, I could actually keep my chin forward as I move that heart. And once my heart has gone as far as it wants to, maybe my chin goes a little farther. Just looking over the left side. So a twist reminds us to release and let go. And if I'm seeking peace, I may have to let go of something else to find peace. And then I'm going to inhale back to center, extend my right leg, bringing the sole of my left foot inside. I'll take an inhale and grow tall. Exhale, turn heart towards knee. Bringing those hands down to the floor. I could always bend into my knee, that might feel better. If you've got tight hamstrings, the muscles on the back of the thigh, the bent leg can actually feel a little bit better. I speak from experience. I feel like bending my knee, I actually come a little deeper into this. Taking another breath or two here. I'm going to bring my hands back up and bend into that right knee. I'll take my left hand to my right knee, right hand near my right hip. Inhale, grow tall. As I exhale, I'm going to let my heart lead, and then maybe my chin is turning and looking over the right. As you're ready, come back to center, and let's scoot back to the wall. So if you're going to rest without a wall, you don't need to scoot to a wall. I'm going to bend my knees, plant my feet, just let my hands come to the sides, and I'm letting my knees drop side to side. Last little bit of work for those hips. I like to go kind of slow when I do this. If I hit a spot that's really juicy, I might hold there for a breath or so. When I say juicy, it's a little intense actually, sometimes. And let's make this the last one. When we come back to center, finding a comfortable sitting shape, whatever that looks like for you. If you'd like, you can softly close your eyes. Again, I've got my back right against the wall, so I'm giving myself a lot of support. And let's go ahead and take one hand to the top of the tummy, one hand to the bottom of the tummy. Just touching base now with the baby. Your baby has done this practice with you. And perhaps they have felt that peace that we've been working on. Finding the situation, the person, the physical setting that brings you peace. Know that what you feel, what you experience, your baby is very aware of. And of course, 9 months is a long time. So during 9 months, you could get frustrated, you could get upset. But just take that moment and notice, oh, I can sense some peace and love and compassion and joy and quiet to this beautiful baby. As we take the last few minutes of class, if you'd like to, keep your hands on your belly. If it feels better to let your hands rest somewhere else, you can do that. And again, just finding that peace. And so gently let some movement come into your fingers and toes. Maybe your wrists move side to side or rotate. As the hands and feet stop moving, let that left hand come onto the floor. Right arm reaches one more time. Open that right side. Left hand might scoot out just a little. As you come back to center, right hand down, left arm up. Open up, opening the left side. And as you inhale, come back to center. Exhale, chin to the left. Inhale, chin to center. Exhale, opposite direction. When you come back to center, perhaps those hands join in prayer at the heart. If you'd like, your eyes softly close. As you head on to this marvelous journey that we call parenting, know that you can teach peace to this child. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and doing this practice. Namaste. Thanks so much, everyone. I am putting videos up, 2 to 3 for sure in a month. They will drop on Saturdays, and I'm so grateful that you have stopped by and continue to practice yoga. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.